Hi, I didn't see you there. So Canadians are told to cover their levers in traffic, also near the Timmy's drive-thru and in Moose Country. The idea is that when Bullwinkle charges, which he always will as far as a rider is concerned, we're ready to brake fast. But that can also backfire. See, better than covering your levers is preloading them. Take up the free play, hold it on the cusp of pads touching rotors, and you can save a crash. But how? Funny you should ask. I was just passing time by listing the ways rubber grips: adhesion, hysteresis, viscosity, and cohesion. This is mostly relevant for long-term tire wear. This is mostly irrelevant unless there's a thick intermediary on the road, oil, maple syrup, etc. So let's focus on the first two. Adhesion is the friction we know and love. More grip when the tires and asphalt are sticky, more again when your vehicle is heavy. Hence wanting weight transfer to the front wheel. Heavier normal force, more adhesion, more grip. The kicker is that your suspension is damped. It takes a while for this spring to compress and allow the weight transfer. So when I brake fast, I'm asking for adhesion that my tire doesn't yet have the normal force to achieve. Put simply, of course, most gents find it nigh impossible to resist jerking their lever. Panic braking is, by definition, panicked. But every reaction starts at zero. If you merely cover the brake, your hand will be moving too fast by the time it hits the engagement point. Whereas if you preload to the engagement point, your initial braking is physically bound to be progressive. Even a hand jerk reaction has to build up to its force. But we haven't mentioned hysteresis. And a wiser writer wouldn't, because it's complex and redundant. Nah, I can't resist that. Let's do it. Rubber compresses and rebounds as it rolls over stuff, like an elastic, like a spring. But the force you put into a tire, making all the energy below this line, comes back kinda sluggish. Like a deflated sex doll, you get less out than you put in because we lose all this heat to the internal friction of the tire. Yay? Nay? Imagine rolling over the road. We force compression at contact, then sometime later we get the weaker rebound. More goes into slowing the tire than kicking it off again, which a fuel economist would call rolling resistance. A racer would call it friction or grip, and a physicist calls this laggy system hysteretic. You see the problem? When you slam the brakes, we're stacking up stress faster than the rubber can shed it. There's a term for when an elastic system can't get itself back to equilibrium. It's called the glass transition. Your tire physically becomes glassy. That's why our bikes can handle a load of braking force, but not so much rate of force. So we ease into full braking power, and preloading your levers is a hacky way to do it. Or at least to help you do it. Now, most of us scan left first, then center, then right. The rationale being that if both tick-tock cocks fail to notice a red light, the one on the left would hit first. Fine, though not if you drive on the wrong side of the road. And recent scholarship suggests it's even more complicated. See, we always thought humans acquire targets faster in their left field of view and are more likely to miss observations on the right. It's called pseudo-neglect. But typical scientists, they only ran a few experiments in the Western world before pronouncing, "This is how people are."
Okay. I'm not quite...
It turns out that readers of right-to-left languages, Arabic, Hebrew, have the opposite bias. The University of Saskatchewan, Rider Pride, found that bilingual, bidirectional readers can scan right to left as fast as they scan left to right. And on top of lower search times, they rarely miss anything in either field of view. So the habit to make is this: scan left, center, right, then right, center, left. First, we're giving ourselves twice as long to find threats on the right. As left-to-right readers, we need that. And second, we're training our brains to scan in both directions, thus building faster and more effective perception, just like bidirectional readers. And how much difference can that make? Well, search times in that study were up to 200 milliseconds faster for bidirectional folks. Highway speed you're covering 33 meters per second, so we're talking about stopping over 6 meters shorter, over 20 feet, over 2 lane widths. Could definitely save a crash or two. Now, the habit for cold weather is so counterintuitive, I never thought of it. This was told to me by an old motorcycle messenger in London, a guy who rode all night, all weather. The trick when it's cold is to get colder. See, in wind and rain, we naturally close up, hunch back, tighten shoulders to guard our warmth from the elements. That works great for Homo erectus huddling in a cave. Less so for Homo motorcyclists. The truth is that wind has little effect on modern aerodynamic bikes, but when it blows the rider, whose tense body translates that gust to the bars, you get motorcyclists blowing off the road. Similarly, your tires have sufficient grip on rain. Even snow. I've ridden plenty and it does not immediately chuck a motorcycle to the ground. Only when a rider makes tight, jerky inputs does a bike start sliding. So in wind and rain and cold, sit up loose, open your chest, and get colder. And the safest riding stance is come hither, mon hiver, so habituate that and stop frequently for hot tea. How to spot a new rider. Watch them stop. This looks shakier than Alex Marquez's future, but this has all the false stability of Jada Smith's marriage, and this is a whole other entanglement. The habit is to bias your head leftward so you always fall onto the left foot. The correct foot. It keeps our brake light on via the rear brake, which is safer if we get rear-ended. For fast collisions, it makes dick all difference, but consider a slow one. No brake means I'm shunting forward into traffic, bad. Front brake means the bike will immediately tuck, my grip on the bars dragging me down in front of the car, very bad when a second crash is looming. Holding the rear gives you the best chance of the best outcome, staying on your bike. A bonus is that stable stops and hill starts just look smoother when dragging the rear. Your left foot also plants outside the car track. Go right foot down and you're landing in oil drip, slip, drop central. Okay, the accordion effect. And I save this habit for last because its flip side is so often fatal. Say you and a buddy are out for a ride, and buddy decides to pick up the pace, but it'll take you a half second to see that and follow suit. So you'll need to reach a higher speed than your friend did just to catch him. And if buddy then brakes, you will again be braking a half second later and from that higher velocity. To those that study traffic jams, it's the accordion effect. Unfortunately, to motorcyclists, it's deadly.
Two drivers driving pretty fast. That's according to the driver that captured all of this. You can see that the two bikes, they bump each other.
Tough to quantify just how dangerous this is, but I tried. And say rider A is doing 15 meters per second. He accelerates to 30 meters per second in 3 seconds, then sees a corner. So decelerates as fast as he can from 30 back to 15 in 2 seconds. And those are reasonable accelerations for a sport bike and about 50 and 100 kph respectively, so it's all very plausible. And due to the kinematics, it works out that rider A is going to need 45 meters braking distance before he's ready to take that corner. But rider B, remember, his acceleration times are T0 minus 0.5 since he takes a half second to see what his friend does and follows suit. So he's going to hit 39 meters per second or 140 kilometers an hour just to catch up. And assuming his bike can't brake any faster, it'll be 86 meters before he's ready to take that corner. Almost double, almost definitely, rider B is sliding through that turn. This is why group riding can be incredibly dangerous. Those struggling to keep up are those that physics is working against. I'd tell everyone to ride their own ride, but we're competitive bastards, so that's easier said than done. A more practical habit is this. When forming a group, put faster riders at the back. It sounds odd, but the accordion effect means we can protect new motorcyclists by letting them lead. Thanks.
This is Tom. Tom has a friend who was always inclined to be reckless. As they grew up, their mode of transport changed. But the careless driving of Tom's friend didn't improve. If anything, it seemed to get worse.